Now that the virus is picking up once again, masks are becoming mandatory to wear when in public places. But like with everything these days, we can't all just agree to fight a common goal. And there are now a large group of detractors forming called anti-maskers. And even worse, some of these anti-maskers are also Karens that not only put others in danger, but are incredibly entitled while doing so. Hey, what's up IOers, it's Mackenzie here, and since you liked our last video on Karens so much, I thought I'd break down the ones that are anti-maskers too, by listing the top 5 Karens that refused to wear a mask. And I know we haven't really done top 5s before, but I personally think they're better because I get to give you a deeper dive into the topics I'm going to be covering, and they allow me to do lists where I genuinely just can't find 10 things to talk about because that happens a lot. And also, before I get into it, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow our socials to be kept up to date with us. And now without further ado, let's get into that juicy list. First up, we got Costco Karen, who's now going viral online after she refused to wear a mask in a Costco. When the video starts, it looks like the Karen has just spoken to a supervisor, and the supervisor asks if she has a medical reason for refusing to wear the mask. And the woman flat out says no, and says that she doesn't need to wear a mask because she's a United States citizen. Okay. Then the employee tells her it's private property and they can enforce any rules that they want, and points out the fact that this Karen literally has a face mask dangling from her ear while they're talking. And in case you missed that, this woman literally had a mask that she could easily use, and probably did use to get in the store frankly, but refuses to use it now that she's in the store. Then the Karen tries to change the subject by saying she's not a Costco member, and when the employee says she needs to wear a mask to become a member, the Karen loses it. When the employee says she has to leave or put on a mask, the Karen makes the incredibly mature decision to sit down on the floor. Like right in the middle of Costco. And since the employee basically had given up at this point, she just politely asks her if she can move over so customers can leave without running her over, and the Karen actually agrees. And we don't get to see how this was all resolved, but I assume it was with security kicking her out of there. But the craziest part is that this Karen is definitely a senior who is obviously most at risk for getting badly hurt if she does get the virus, so it's just so insane that someone in a vulnerable position would care this little and then sit on a dirty Costco floor. Like, I honestly can't think of a worse place. In at number 4, Plain Karen. Yet another Karen is Plain Karen. She refused to wear a mask while she was on a plane, with tons of other passengers sitting in very close proximity to her. And in my opinion, a plane is absolutely where you need a mask the most. In the video, you can see the Karen grabbing her things as she's about to be escorted off the plane, while taking her sweet time, I might add. Then when she finally starts walking away, the whole plane starts cheering. And the Karen snaps back, quote, "You can clap all you want," then mumbling something that I couldn't really pick up. And after the incident took place and the crew was interviewed by media outlets, they told them that she was a problem even at the gate, demanding to board first and being really argumentative in general. And then social media users were thinking, but like, how did this woman get on the plane in the first place? Like, they could have just avoided all this by stopping her at the gate and not letting her in, right? And even though we never got the answer to that question, I would assume it's because she probably had to wear a mask in the airport, because I don't think you can get into an airport, like go through security without a mask these days. Someone let me know on that. So she probably wore it through security in the gate, all that, but then like took it off on the plane and then refused to put it back on is kind of what I'm gathering. But let me know if there's any other situations you think could have happened there. And at number 3, Starbucks Karen. So we already covered this one, but it's so infamous that I just had to include it in this list too. So in California, like in a lot of places now, you must wear a mask when going inside anywhere. But this Karen had a major issue with that and was not wearing a mask. So she walked into the Starbucks with such entitlement that she was so confident she would still get served, even though she was putting others in danger. But the barista, Lennon, told her, "Not today, Karen," and like any other good employee, refused to serve her unless she put on a mask. This Karen then lost it and ended up thinking that she was so right about the situation, she ended up posting a photo of this barista to Facebook and trying to call him out, saying, quote, "Meet Lennon from Starbucks who refused to serve me because I'm not wearing a mask. Next time I'll wait for cops and bring a medical exemption." And let's just say she didn't get the support she was hoping for on that post, and instead got a ton of hate comments calling her out for being a Karen. Then after this went viral, she tried to excuse her blatant entitlement by saying that she has a medical condition, which is the most basic excuse in the book, saying she gets, quote, "shortness of breath, dizziness, and it messes with her heartbeat," she told the news. Then to make sure she included everything, she added, quote, "and I do get asthma as well as mask acne." So there are several things going on, and not only that, but it doesn't even work. And just so everyone could band together against this Karen and show her what's up, someone ended up starting a GoFundMe for Lennon, the barista, just to spite her. And the craziest part to me is that he ended up raising over $100 grand, if you can believe it, just for standing up to this woman. And that is just so wild to me, because even though I love that he stood up to her and, and he didn't stand down, I also don't think I would personally contribute to a GoFundMe for someone that's literally just doing their job. But hey, Landon now has some money that he can use towards college or whatever else he wants to. But the last twist of the story is that this Karen is so entitled, she's trying to sue this barista for half of the GoFundMe money. But not only is that ridiculous, I'm sure it's impossible also, because she would have to show damages on her end, and since the only damage came from her ruining her own reputation, I'm sure he's gonna be keeping all that cash. In at number 2, coughing Karen. I just need to preface this story with the fact that people that cough in other people's faces in the midst of all this are the absolute worst type of entitled Karen. So this Karen from Queens was in a bagel shop when she got in a screaming match with another customer who was calling her out for not wearing a mask. This video is pretty short, so you can't catch everything that was said, but it starts off with a lot of noise and yelling. Then the Karen grabs her stuff and yells, quote, "You can't say it to my face." Then she runs up to the other woman and coughs all around her and like in her face. Then the victim obviously lost it and asked her what the hell is wrong with her, because seriously, that is just so outrageous. Then the victim in the incident, named Allie Goodbomb, then posted the video on Facebook, as well as adding, quote, "I will never be going back to the New York City Bagel Coffee House, Broadway and 30th Street, because they still serve this woman and none of the employees asked if I was okay." With the coffee shop responding, saying store policy requires both workers and customers to wear masks, and apologizing for the horrific behavior of this woman. Saying, quote, "Our staff was caught off guard. Most of our staff and the cashier who was working that day are high school students who were frightened by the behavior of this woman." And even though I'm sure the woman was furious that the employees didn't stand with her against this woman, I can definitely see how they could have been intimidated by her, but also, come on, how can you still serve her? I mean, that's a little sus. Then finally, number 1, Melbourne Karen. So I couldn't find a video for this one, but it's new and the tea is piping hot, so I want to tell you guys anyway. Basically, it all started when police approached the Karen and asked her and the guy she was with why they weren't wearing masks, telling them that it's now illegal. Then the woman starts going off on these cops, and while this is all going down, they decide to start writing her a ticket. But she claps back, saying that she doesn't consent to the ticket. I don't think that's how it works. Then she starts demanding the officers' names, even though you can clearly see what they are, and it seems to be like an intimidation tactic. Then she tells them she doesn't need a reason for not wearing a mask, and continues to refuse to hand over her identification. This then prompts the cops to tell her that if she doesn't let them give her a ticket, she's gonna be arrested and brought to the station. Then to make the situation even worse than it needed to be, she says that if she does get arrested, she, quote, "doesn't consent, and if you do arrest us, we will be suing you for armed kidnapping." Continuing, quote, "I don't have to give you my details. I'm just a citizen walking around, and your job is to make sure we're safe." Then adding, quote, "I can see you're carrying guns, both of you, so I'm fearing for my life." Then she continues to go off, "I don't consent to that, and I will be suing you personally, not your department. You will be personally sued for $60,000 each." Then, because this Karen was so crazy, she actually believed she was in the right after all this, she decided to make a Facebook post about the whole situation, in summary thanking the people who had began their journey to take back their rights, then saying that the online haters won't stop her but are just gonna make her even stronger. And lastly saying that the government has lied to everyone, and that they have taken away liberties and silenced people for no reason. So clearly a very passionate Karen. Okay everyone, that's all for this list today. Let me know your thoughts on all this. Firstly, how do you feel about the top 5? And secondly, which Karen was the worst? And have you encountered a Karen in real life? If so, let us know what the situation was and definitely how it ended, because I feel like we don't get a lot of the endings here, and that's really the part I want to know. But before I head out, I'm going to shout out some comments from my video on the crazy ex torching a car. So Soleil said, "This was in my state. The guy said he was never in a relationship with her. They just messed around." Oh my god. Firstly, thank you so much for giving us the tea on that. And secondly, yeah, this woman is insane then. Then Jessie said, "With all the rookie mistakes Mackenzie's talking about, I feel like she's done this before." Listen guys, I was just joking. Mostly because I just wouldn't even do anything that would actually get me into trouble. It would be a lot more subtle if I were to do something. Let's just say that. Then another user said, "You can't even feel bad for someone getting instant karma." Like, you truly cannot. Like, she asked for that, and honestly, stuff like this just like makes you believe that karma is real. Like, if he did something bad enough, maybe she wouldn't have gotten caught, but because the situation didn't even seem all that bad, she needed to get caught. Then Luna said, "I think the guy broke up with the girl because he knows how crazy she is." Yeah, maybe he found out, he saw all the red flags and was like, "Hey, I need to get out of this ASAP." But unfortunately for him, he was already in too deep, clearly. And yeah, I guess he should have tried to hide his car from her, or you know what I mean? his house. Maybe he should have moved addresses before trying to dump her. Okay everyone, that's all for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way here, I really appreciate it, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram to be kept up to date with all the news and tea you'll ever need to know. And I will see you all in the next one.